Sometimes the most powerful promises are tucked away in the most unexpected places. In the Old Testament, there's this single verse born in a moment of absolute desperation. Today, we're going to unpack that promise from Jeremiah 33:3. It's a divine invitation that is echoed through the centuries, and believe me, it speaks directly to us right here, right now. Really think about it for a second. Have you ever felt completely stuck? Like you're surrounded by circumstances you just can't control, and there's no clear path forward? That feeling of being cornered, of just not knowing what's going to happen next, we've all been there, right? And here's what's so incredible. This promise wasn't delivered on some perfect sunny day to people who had it all figured out. No, it was spoken right into the middle of a deep crisis. And honestly, that's what makes it so powerful for us today. To really get the hope that's packed into this verse, we first have to understand the darkness it was spoken into. The context, the setting, it's everything. So let's just try to picture this. The city of Jerusalem is surrounded by a hostile army. Inside the walls, people are terrified, they're confused, their entire world is falling apart. And the guy God chooses to deliver this message of hope, the prophet Jeremiah, he's literally locked up in prison. It's from this place of total chaos and confinement that God speaks. And this is the key for you and me. This message is tailor-made for our tough times. It's an invitation specifically for those of us who feel broken, who are staring down uncertainty, who are just desperate for an answer. This promise finds its greatest power not in our strength, but in our struggle. Okay, so let's dive into the very first part of the verse. It's so simple, so direct, but it's absolutely profound. It's the foundation for everything else that follows. What I love about this is what God doesn't say. He doesn't say, hey, get your life in order and then we'll talk. He doesn't say, impress me first, prove you're worthy. Nope. The only requirement, the only prerequisite is to just call. It's an invitation based completely on relationship, not on our performance. So what does it even mean to call? Well, it's way more than just saying words out loud. It's a personal act. It's this step of faith that says, I believe someone is on the other end of this line. I believe someone is actually listening. It's the very beginning of a real, living, dynamic relationship. And for all of us believers around the world, this ancient invitation finds its absolute fulfillment in Jesus. Because of him, we have this direct access to the Father. So if your prayer life feels a little stale or your faith just feels tired, think of this verse as a gentle call to just come back, to re-engage in that relationship. All right, so we call. Then what? Well, that brings us to the second part of the promise. This isn't a call into a void, It's a call to a God who promises he will respond. This is such a profound reassurance. The promise is that a sincere call from an honest heart is never, ever ignored. It's always heard, it's always received, it's always valued by him. And here it is. This is the question we all ask, isn't it? We call, we pray, and then it feels like silence. It can feel like the line's gone dead. So what do we do when the answer doesn't show up on our schedule? See, the promise isn't that God will answer exactly how and when we want him to. The promise is that his response will always be faithful. It will always be rooted in a wisdom and a love that is so much bigger than our own. Trusting him means trusting his timing and his methods, even when we just don't get it. And this brings us to the final and frankly awe-inspiring part of this verse. After the invitation to call and the promise that he'll answer, God says he's going to reveal things that are completely beyond our human ability to figure out on our own. Just let that sink in for a moment. Through this relationship, God promises to show us great and unsearchable things. This is about so much more than just fixing our immediate problems. It's about getting access to a divine perspective. It's about starting to see his loving hand and his sovereign plan, what some call his providence, at work even in the middle of our chaos. So what are these unsearchable things? Well, they aren't some mystical secret. They actually show up in our lives in really practical ways. First, he grows our spiritual understanding, giving us a wisdom that this world can't offer. Second, he shapes our character. It's that beautiful, lifelong process of sanctification where he patiently makes us more like Jesus. And third, he leads our future. As we call on him, we learn to rest in his providence, knowing that his plan for us is always rooted in perfect love. Now, let's just zoom out for a second.
This verse isn't just for a prophet in a prison cell or for a believer who's going through a tough time. It is a tender, standing invitation for anyone who feels far from God.
And maybe one of these just hits home for you. Maybe you feel like the lost child who has wandered away, or your heart is just heavy with discouragement. Maybe you carry this weight of shame and feel unworthy to even speak to God. Or maybe your faith just feels completely exhausted. This call is for you. Please, let this sink deep into your heart. It doesn't matter how far you've gone or how long you've been away. The line is still open. God has not forgotten about you. He is still listening, just waiting for your call. And that right there is the ultimate good news. Because of Jesus, the path back is always, always available. Forgiveness is real. Restoration is possible. The door to home is still open, and you are invited back inside. So we end right where we started, with a call. But this time, the call is from God to us. Right in the middle of our own personal prisons, our fears, our uncertainties, He extends this incredible invitation for relationship and for revelation. He is calling. The only question left is, what will you say back?